next Saturday, January 7th, not this Saturday, the following Saturday in Texas. Does James Madison have the firepower to take on a Youngstown State that is coached by a former Nebraska coach who left Nebraska, who literally got fired because of I don't know what reasons, but he's taken a really good Youngstown State, to the championship game?
Yeah, I think they do have the firepower to go in there and take them on. I mean, certainly it's going to be a very competitive game. Whenever you get to this level of a championship, anything can happen. But I think James Madison's got a very nice program. All three facets of what they're doing, offense, defense, and special teams. They have some very talented people. And I certainly think it's going to be a competitive game, and we're obviously pulling for the Dukes.
Yeah. And one question I'd like to ask you: you came from the Big East before they expanded to just for basketball only. In the Big East, what team did James Madison was in the Big East? What team would they play against? And would they stack up against the Miamis and the Virginia Techs and all that stuff in your mind?
Well, it's tough to give an exact answer to that because obviously you're talking about, number one, a little bit of a different era.
Right.
The Big East that I left, not necessarily a different era, but when I left the Big East, that was 3 years ago now. So my familiarity with the current level of football that they have isn't really that great. When I was in the Big East and we had football, could they stack up against those teams? I think certainly what we've seen this year is aspect of FCS programs being able to compete at a high level with many FBS programs. And I certainly think that the James Madison team that we're looking at right now that's headed to the championship would be very competitive against many FBS programs in the country, including those programs that were part of the Big East when I was there. So again, that's taking nothing away from those programs, but if the question is, could James Madison be competitive with them? They most certainly could be, and I think that's evident by the fact they had an FCS win this year already on their record.
Yeah, and plus James Madison scored 84 points in 2 games this year, and you don't see that a lot in the Division I, the other programs. But 2 games, 85 for the opener, and then 84 against Rhode Island.
That's right.
Yeah, so they can put up points. Well, Commissioner, I know you're busy. Yeah. Well, Commissioner, I know you're a busy man. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I know you're a busy guy during the holidays, and thank you so much. And I am hoping to make a trip to Texas, but I don't think I can make it. But, I'll be back here in my office rooting for the Dukes no matter what.
Well, Chris, I appreciate you having me on and taking the time, and obviously appreciate your interest in the CAA. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
All right.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We're doing the Youngstown State side of the football right now for this big championship game. We have Dana Nardish on us, who does the TV side for up there in Youngstown, Ohio. A beautiful place up there. I've been there. I drove past it a couple times. Dana, thanks for joining us. Talk about Youngstown. How's preparations going? How's Bo Pelini handling the media there in Texas?
Well, Bo's not a rah-rah guy, and he's a Youngstown guy, so he kind of knows the mentality. But it's kind of in business as usual for Bo. Trying to keep everything status quo. Tried to make this a business trip. Face some adversity. Earlier in the year when they're on their 4th quarterback, and Hunter Wells has done a tremendous job. Players suspended, but Bo's handled it pretty well. This is a team that obviously has had some offensive issues in October and into November, and they've gotten over that. They're playing their best football when it counts most right now.
Yeah, and plus Bo Pelini has some postseason experience because I know he took Nebraska to some of the bowl games. So is he basically helping the players get set to this is almost like a bowl game?
Yeah, that's been the mentality of the last couple of weeks. He kind of approached it as a bowl week. He knew, when we got back from Eastern Washington on the 18th of December, he gave the players 10 days off. He knew that was very, very important. So, yeah, he's handling this. He's had that experience of bowl games. And you can kind of sense that. He held practice kind of in the morning because this will be 11 o'clock Central kickoff. So he's kind of done everything, as he prepared for a bowl for this game. So I think he has a team in pretty good shape at this point.
How's the facilities there for football? They're playing on a soccer field, so does it look pretty good for a football field?
It's a natural surface. It looks to be a very quaint stadium. I mean, it's going to seat about 15,000. They have a soccer Hall of Fame going in here. But this is the first time the Penguins have played at this facility, obviously. It's the second time that they've played on natural grass this year. The last time was back in week 2 when they played, or week 3 when they played at West Virginia. So the players are pretty excited about getting on a natural surface. I think the big adjustment will be, just how cool it is. But, in Eastern Washington, they played that game when it was, pretty much 0. So this is like a heat wave for them.
Yeah, it's true. Talk about James Madison. What do you see, being in the media, what do you see on film for them? Giving go ahead.
Yeah, obviously it begins with the quarterback, Abdullah. I mean, he's very good. He's one of the best backs Youngstown State will face all season. I mean, when you play in the Missouri Valley Conference, you're playing a lot of great backs, and certainly Abdullah is there. I think, sure, their quarterback has done a tremendous job. We've only seen him a couple of times, on tape, but, is able to find the receiver, and Abdullah does a great job of getting to the outside. So I think it comes down to why you should defense, really. I think that's the key for them. If they can contain, because I don't think you're going to slow down a James Madison team. I think you can contain them, and I think if YSU can do that, and put some points on the board, then I think they're in pretty good shape. But I think the big thing is, this 2-week layoff, just how is that going to affect both teams?
Right.
I mean, both teams had momentum, and then you're off for 2.5 weeks. So I think the first quarter will kind of be very sluggish, and I know it's coach talk of teams feeling out each other. But, Coach Bo has always said it's not about what the opponent does, it's more what we do. So that's the same mentality he's using. But for James Madison is a quality opponent. Anytime you go up to the Fargo Dome and can beat North Dakota State, you're a pretty good football team.
And I think James Madison has a two-headed monster in that running game because, that basically, because I see him a lot in the Columbia Athletic Conference here in the, over here, and they had a two-headed run monster, and they put 84 points on Rhode Island. So that's
and again, you get that running game going. Obviously, it sets up that, but Delacey's done a pretty good job against the run this year. Now, I don't know if they'll see a quarterback like Shore who. Well, they have seen quarterbacks in the Missouri Valley Conference that can run and pass. But, I think the impressive thing about James Madison is they got 12 or 14 different receivers who have caught passes this year. So, they can throw the ball too. And YSU, obviously, with some suspensions, they won't have their normal secondary safeties in there, but they didn't have them against Eastern Washington.
Right, exactly. Can you see this game tomorrow be like a shootout, like in the second quarter on, because after everybody gets themselves awake and realize we got to play football?
Yeah, I think it can be, but I think these defenses are pretty good, and I would think this could be a low scoring game. When I say low scoring, I'm probably thinking 24-17 or something like that. But it would not surprise me if we're up in the 30s or 40s because both these teams have proven that they can score and score from anywhere on the field.
Yeah. Well, one last question. These guys haven't faced each other since 2006 in a playoff game?
Yeah, 2006. It was in Youngstown at Sandbox Stadium. It was a great game. It was the first round game, and James Madison came to play. YSU won that game. They went on to the national semifinals where they were beaten by Appalachian State. I think this is the 5th meeting overall. I think YSU has the advantage, but coaches have changed, and obviously personnel have changed. But both Winnie's in his second year, and Mike Houston's in his first year, and both these programs I think are surprised to be here. I know Youngstown State is. I mean, in one span in 3 games in October, they scored 1 offensive touchdown.
Wow.
So they're playing their best right now. I mean, Hunter Wells, who was the starter for 2 years, wasn't even the starter this year. Was actually not even traveling. Was kind of the odd man out, so to speak. But they had injuries, and Hunter has really, really, really played well and has this team. He's a big part of why this team is in the national championship game.
Well, Dana, thank you so much. I know you're a busy guy. You got to get ready for that broadcast this afternoon at 12 noon. So good luck, and I hope everything goes well, and have safe travels back to Youngstown.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks very much. Have a great day.
You too. Take it easy.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, thanks.
Works. You're welcome. See ya. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our championship preview of James Madison taking on Youngstown State tomorrow down there in beautiful Texas. Hopefully it'll be warmer than where they are today. We have Greg Medea with us, the beat writer for James Madison's football team. So, Greg, thanks for joining us. Talk about the last couple of days down there. The team got down there on Wednesday, and I guess they went right to work. So let's talk about what you saw during practice.
Yeah, team flew down Wednesday. I also flew down Wednesday, and yesterday was kind of a jam-packed day for both James Madison and Youngstown State. They had media availability. JMU also had practice yesterday, which both JMU and Youngstown State, they both had practices yesterday, which were open to the media. And, it was one of those days where the team spent a lot of time talking about the game with the media. They had a lot of activities, too. And that's one thing that plays a part, I think, in this whole championship atmosphere is that, the NCAA kind of runs these guys through the ringer a little bit. They have them at different dinners and events and, different kind of things before the game leading into it. I know from speaking with Mike Houston, the James Madison coach, he had taken a Division II team on a run to the championship a couple of years ago, and he said, kind of the one big thing he realized this time around is to make sure the players get extra rest because they are so busy in the lead up to the championship game. So I think he's well aware of it. I know Bo Pelini, the Youngstown State coach, former Nebraska coach, is aware of it too. So the coach is trying to balance that, these final hours leading up to the game.
Yeah, that's true. And some of these, they treat this like a bowl game because when you get to the next level, you got weeks. So you have a week of bowl, stuff. You go meet with the chairman of the city, and then you go do I just got back from Charlotte and I did the Beck Bowl, and they did the let's go to NASCAR and drive a race car, and then they go downtown and they have a pep rally. And, you got to keep everybody ready to go because I know that's challenging for kids like college kids because they just want to play football.
Oh yeah. There's no doubt about that. I think I saw some pictures on Twitter of different JMU players and coaches on a mechanical bull down here in Texas from last night. But anyway, no, you look at both staffs though, and they both have that FCS experience on staff. Mike Houston doesn't, but you look at his staff of assistants, and there's Donnie Kirkpatrick, the offensive coordinator, who's been over a decade at East Carolina. The defensive coordinator, Bob Trott, had spent time at the FBS level, also coaching the NFL under Bill Parcells at the Giants. He also spent time with the Cleveland Browns. And then you got Brian Steinspring on staff as well, JMU's run game coordinator and tight ends coach. He was at Virginia Tech for nearly all of Frank Deemer's run down there in Blacksburg. So when you think about it, that kind of plays into it. I know, in this long process, this 3-week lead up to the game, the JMU, was acting like as if it were a bowl game because that's just the way the staff, wanted to approach it because it was familiar. Youngstown State, of course, they have the FBS experience as well. Bo Pelini, the former Nebraska coach, as I mentioned, Carl Pelini, the defensive coordinator, Bo's brother. He has the FBS experience. Ron Stoops is the special teams coordinator, he's the brother of Bob Stoops, the Oklahoma coach, and Mark Stoops, the Kentucky coach. So there's FBS experience on both sides, and I think that helps in this situation.
So on Youngstown State, they got a lot of the college experience. Like, Bo Pelini was in Nebraska. He was there for 8 years in Nebraska?
7 seasons.
And when you see Nebraska, do you think, I know I talked to Coach Houston the other day, Coach Mike last week, getting prepared for Youngstown State. Do you see in film a little Nebraska in their offense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's natural, though. Just in the evolution of that we're going to see, things that Nebraska showed on tape while Pelini was there. I see a little bit of it, especially on offense and even on defense, But I think that would be a surprise if it wasn't. Coaches like to stick to what they do. At James Madison, you see You see elements of what, the staff has done in the past, whether it's, when you watch the offense, you see, run pass option stuff that Stein Spring had used at Virginia Tech. You see some elements of the air raid that Kirkpatrick had.
Right.
That shown at East Carolina when he was there, and you see kind of that downhill run game approach that Houston wanted to implement from his time at the Citadel, his time at Lenoir-Rhyne. So I just think coaching staffs typically stick to what they know and who they are, and that's no different with these two teams.
Yeah. Well, I know when they did the job search last year, they got Mike Houston to come to Harrisonburg. Should have got him a couple of years ago instead of the guy from who went to Texas State.
That's hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean, the Withers hire, Everett Withers, who's at Texas State now. He was kind of that one of those hot shot assistants that had worked at Ohio State under Urban Meyer and had been, had some really good FBS level experience, and he did some good things for the JMU program. He recruited very well. He got the team, got the program back to the playoffs after a hiatus from Mickey Matthews' final years, and Matthews did good things for the program too. A lot of the players you'll see, tomorrow afternoon when the game kicks off is guys that were recruited by Mickey Matthews, the JMU coach who won a national championship in 2004. You look at all the upperclassmen from Khalid Abdullah to Brandon Ravenel to, guys like Raven Green in the secondary and Taylor Reynolds. He recruited a bunch of those guys. So, I think, coaches and programs, they change and each guy puts their own spin on it. And Mike Houston has just done a really good job of building upon what Everett Withers and what Mickey Matthews did for JMU.
Yeah. Well, one last question. I know you're a busy guy because I know you want to go get some breakfast or relax before you have a busy full day. What's on the schedule for today for James Madison or both teams?
Yeah, both teams will have a walkthrough today in their final preparations over at the practice field outside of Toyota Stadium, and then the coaches. There will be a press conference today. James Madison will go first, and then Youngstown State will go. So a little bit lighter than yesterday. Yesterday was a hectic day this day, but today a little bit lighter, and then tomorrow they'll play the game.
Yeah. Well, good luck tomorrow.